average 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
All right, here we go. Welcome to today's stream, everyone. Thanks to everyone who subscribed from the last video. Once again, I got to do that the last video because a bunch of you have joined the channel. And from that video to now, a bunch more of you have joined. So welcome. I really, really appreciate having you here. And yeah, we're going to get right down to it. We talk workflow, we talk design software, all the innovations and all the little nitty gritty tips and tricks that we gotta deal with from the ground up. So today we are looking at Leonardo.AI, which is something I've covered before on the channel. However, yesterday I got a very, very pleasant announcement through email, which is that they now have their tools, their AI tools, as an iOS app. So it's in the App Store for iPhone and for iPad, and as you can see, the iPad version is not the iPhone version on an iPad, which is what usually happens when an app first comes to iOS, which is a really, really pleasant surprise. Not just that, the type of things coming out of Leonardo lately that I've seen are extremely good. I'd say like at this point it's competing very intensely with Midjourney, especially as Midjourney, I won't speak to these fully, but there have been some people reporting that both ChatGPT and Midjourney are falling off in quality, and there's a suspicion around that those tools are actually starting to draw a lot of reference from AI generated items, whether it be images or whether it be content. So it's like AI regurgitating AI content, and that's, you know, sort of a rumor really going around as to why the experience seems to have fallen down a little bit. But with Leonardo, I find that, you know, you still get weirdness here and there, but the quality has just been outstanding. I mean, look at this. And part of that, I think, is really the specificity, like the flexibility that Leonardo is able to give you over your generations, and the tools around, you know, what Leonardo has put together that really, you know, the blend feature on Midjourney is nice. The generative fill in Photoshop by Adobe is great. But we'll get into why Leonardo really, I think, still sets apart for me. And I've lately been going to Leonardo more often for work than Midjourney or Photoshop generative fill. Most of the time I use all three like in conjunction, but I've found that, you know, lately Leonardo's doing a lot of heavy lifting for me. So first of all, we got featured models, right? So as opposed to Midjourney, where you have like Midjourney version 3, version 4, version 5 versus version 5 point whatever, in Leonardo you have so many different options to choose from. So if you're doing like, you know, here we have like an anime pastel style, there's 3D animation. Absolute reality has been pretty good. Pretty good to me specifically. Vintage style photography, you know, I mean, you can start building from any one of these models. And then also, of course, you know, if you pick an image, you want to know who created this image and how. You can copy their prompt. That even gives you the option to do that. It tells you what settings they use, what resolution, you know, down to the finest detail. And I see some buttons here. This one's upscaled. This is upscaled with crisp. This one's the original. No background. The background removal within the AI is also great. It just skips a step that I'd have to sometimes do, you know, or if you're doing like a sticker design. But more about the model. So if we go back in the app, we have our toolbar at the bottom. So under models, here are all the models. So the platform models are put out by Leonardo and promoted by Leonardo itself. Then you have your models, which I haven't created one yet. I said in a previous video I would, and I haven't found something exactly like I need to create my own thing for just yet. I think it'd be interesting. I scanned all my sketchbooks a while back. I think it'd be interesting to just dump all my sketchbook pages into this and create just a sketch model for myself based on my own sketches. And that'd be interesting to see if it's actually would look like something that would live in my sketchbook. And here's favorited models. So I guess community models would also be under platform models. I don't see a way to search for models, which is what I typically do on the desktop version. But in any case, I suppose you could always look for some models on the desktop version or even on the web version on the iPad. I've used the web version on iPad just fine. But you could favorite some models on there and then you have access to them in the app. That seems to be the best way, unless I'm missing something here on searching a model. Maybe when I go to generate, I'm able to search for one. But yeah, these are ones I've used before. So I've done a lot of work with car brands lately. So we've got exotic cars. Product images V1, that's been fantastic to just feed it. I'll show you some of the stuff I've generated before on that in my feed, but that's been fantastic just to like feed sketches, feed line work out of Rhinoceros or a half-baked Blender idea, like something I'm working on that's like not really fully there, and maybe I have a meeting or a checkup coming up with a client and I'll just throw my progress images and run it through this product image version 1 model and just get some renders and like get a bunch of material options like actually applied onto the design itself, which is really cool. Sneakers, you know, of course, why not? And wall sculptures is a whole section on its own, but those are my favorites at this point, or at least like I've been going to those primarily when I do need something specific. So when we go under generate, things are a little nuanced here on the app. I've noticed still, like when you first open up the app, all you see is the feed, and you actually have to read like a little disclaimer you get at the bottom of the screen to realize that you actually need to click on that disclaimer to go through the login process. So here we see like in that area where the disclaimer would be at the very bottom, it says this will use 8 tokens, 150 remaining out of your dailies, which has been a fantastic amount. I'm suspecting, you know, we're gonna lower that amount in the future, but I'm very, very grateful for the 150 daily tokens every 24 hours, and I will very, very likely upgrade to Leonardo in the future, but free version's doing great for me so far. Leonardo, I love it. Keep it that way as long as you can, as long as you can afford to. So here we can see we could pick our model, right? So image generation. We can clear our options on the top left, clear all settings and go to default. We could go to recent, and here's everything I've generated recently, right? So just to kind of quickly go over a few things, like this is not the product itself, but it is similar, you know, really what I was doing here was trying to find a way to improve a product rendering I was working on in Blender. It wasn't looking quite right to me, even though I was working off of reference. So then I fed in the current render that I had and put it here and to do the image to image process so that it would generate an image from my image with a prompt additional to it. So as you could see, like I kind of added the prompt for the vibe that I was going for. And I really realized like what makes these look a lot better. Yeah, sure, depth of field always. But it's also, there's like an empty space. There's like quite a bit of space in between the subject and the background, the walls in the background, which increasing that distance, you know, according to like what I was seeing was working here, even though it's kind of like unnatural. Like if you see here, like there's just kind of like a table floating in the middle of the room, and then there's like random table and things on the windowsill in the background, but it works really well for the shot. If you try to make sense of it, like what's going on in the space is, you know, that's not the point. It's like what looks good, which I think I was maybe getting too much in my head about. And these were, you know, just studio shots. Wasn't too crazy about these. I also just get like really weird shapes, you know. I don't know if those are fingers or carrots or something more inappropriate. But then these were closer to the actual product itself. Yeah, this one looks really, really nice. Anyway, kind of reimagining or kind of thinking like, yeah, maybe my render isn't doing as fully well as it could be, and I'm not exactly sure how to make it look closer to my reference or what to fix. And I think putting it through here, you're not going to get exactly what you want. Someday you will, I imagine. But But yeah, even just using it as a way to like make a reference out of your own work that's already in progress, so that you have something to shoot forward toward, or try different things that could work better. Definitely good. This was a social media post I did for my day job. So we wanted to do, I don't think I could see the original sketch here. I suppose like this is closest to what the original sketch looked like, but someone in the office sketched this out as like a Barbie tower, you know, kind of, you know, since Barbie is so popular right now with the movie and whatnot. We got that sketch, or I got that sketch on my desk, and I was like, hey, can you use AI to come up with a cool post for social media? So I was playing around with some settings, and the control nets are really interesting. So as you can see, like a lot of these are really, like some of these are just new sketches, right? Like just different sketches on the original. Can I swipe? No. So if I could swipe Leonardo, if anybody at the Leonardo staff is watching, if I were able to swipe through my options or swipe through my gallery rather than having to like click into one every single time and then click out of it, that'd be great. It'd be doing a better job at presenting this right now. But yeah, so like these are alternative sketches. Some of these were really cool. Like they went beyond the sketch and more into like an illustration, and I could see like it still gets the vibe and like translates the elements in the sketch according to the prompt I gave. Of course, there's like settings to there are settings to give the prompt more freedom, or have it be more strict to the prompt or more strict to the image, etc., etc. So this was me just tuning a whole bunch of stuff. We ended up actually going with not this one. This one was close to being my favorite. Very dreamy and very close to the original request, or the original sketch. I ended up Photoshop compiling a couple of these together. So that's what I mean too, is like I think it was this one I ended up upscaling, and then I wanted to use some elements in this one as well, and ended up Photoshop compositing them with the generative fill. But yeah, some of these were really, really interesting. And then this is the product I'm talking about. So this was actually, like, if you're familiar with Rhino, you know what ISO curves are. These lines that are sort of crossing over the object itself, it's not at all there. Like, it's actually, they're lines that were in the drawing that I fed through, but they're just lines that help the 3D software communicate to you how that shape is built, right, put together. So it's really just a flat top or a flat cap, but it took those lines and it made something out of it, which is interesting because they're just supposed to be, you know, informational, but it kind of created seams from it, you know. And even though this isn't literally the intention that we're going for with that product, it was incredibly useful, you know. Here's some weird card shots. This is very early in the process. Here's like some more material tests for that product project. And yeah, these were the type of drawings I was like feeding into it. And this is the kind of stuff I was getting back, you know? And just to like throw these things together after like a week of having talked to the client, or a few days of having talked to the client, yeah, really valuable. I also was doing like some comic book stills from a comic book I was putting together through Midjourney. Anywho, that's my feed and kind of like some use cases that I've done with Leonardo. So we'll check out right now, you know, using it. I mean, it's something I've covered before, but again, we're just kind of looking at it fresh eyes with the app. So there is a new mode that I wanted to try. Leonardo Creative, BattleX. I don't see a way to search community models. My favorited models are here from the community, but it looks like I'm not able to search community models just yet. Although there are some here, like this BattleAxes one was not made by Leonardo, but I guess it was popular enough to include here. Vintage style photography would also not Leonardo. What's my vibe? I mean, I typically go for absolute reality. Let's just do that. And since I have been doing some architectural work lately, let's do something maybe architectural but like retail. Yeah, something commercial. So style, do we want Leonardo style or no style? I've got to say, no style instead of Leonardo style has been more accurate for me in the past, but we'll compare that. It's just a switch to turn off or on. We type in our prompt, of course. So let's do Art Basel's coming up in a couple months. So we could do, oh, I don't want to pull the trigger too soon on announcing something like this, but a friend of mine did get a really cool opportunity with a really big company for Art Basel. So without giving anything away, I'm gonna do a computer, let's see, an immersive retail experience in a Miami store. More specific than that, an immersive retail experience in a Miami store for a big tech company. What do we do? Notebooks and VR headsets featured. People interacting with each other and the products. I don't know if I'm being too specific here, but let's just see what happens. Negative prompt. So this is also nice that Midjourney doesn't have. Midjourney's guidelines are just kind of like, don't type out what you don't want. Just focus on what you do want. And actually here, what I'll typically do is I'll do a prompt, and then there's things that are constantly showing up that I don't want, and then those things I start including in the negative prompt. So that's incredibly useful here. We'll do experiential space design. Okay, cool. Image to image. So if I wanted to add in an image to inspire this image, to inspire the one I'm generating, I could add one in. So, oh, and it does have ControlNet here as well, which is what I was saying. Like ControlNet would be, so apparently I have to deactivate prompt magic. So I'll go ahead and do that, deactivate prompt magic. So this is what I was talking about. Like when I put in that line work, I would upload an image of that line work, and I put ControlNet on edge to image, right? If it's line work. If it's something like a human cutout or a car or something, you want to reference that, you could do pose to image. Depth to image is more specific. You need a depth map. And there are tools out there I've covered before, and other people have covered as well, on how to convert an image, whether it be 3D, out of a 3D software on an image that's a 3D render on a photograph. You can get a depth map, which essentially the things closer to the camera are going to be lighter, the things further away are going to be darker, and that is a depth to image, right? It informs that. But and then init strength is kind of like, let's just throw in an image. How strongly do we want it, right, to relate to that original image? But we're going to leave that section empty. We're just going to create something from scratch. Standard options. All right, public images on. This can be public. Alchemy off. So Alchemy has been interesting. This has been giving me some really cool results. I want to turn that on. Apparently my trial for Alchemy has expired. So that's a really cool feature I would definitely pay for. Basically what Alchemy does, if I'm able to see here, I'm not able to see the full settings. But down here where it says Alchemy style, it says dynamic. There's photoreal, there's illustration, there's cartoon, there's all kinds of stuff. Drone shot, I think. Like, it's just a bunch of different, like, it's like a sauce, right? Like, you want to do this whole thing, and then, like, you want it to be a little bit extra more, like, photographic or cinematic or realistic or cartoonish or illustrative. Yeah, it's like, it really does a good job at nailing that style that you're going for. Photoreal. So this is the new feature that was announced with this app. A powerful pipeline designed to help you create everything from cinematic photography to lifelike portraits. Requires Alchemy. So I might not be able to see that today. Yep, not be able to see that today. Well, Alchemy is cool. If you're getting in on the trial on Leonardo and on that Alchemy, try it out. Prompt magic. Custom render pipeline that has far greater prompt adherence. So yeah, this is one of those things that I find was helpful at times. It was not helpful at times. You kind of have to just test. I'm not sure if I can do this without the trial. I guess without the paid version. I can't do version 3 unless I upgrade, but apparently I can do version 2. So let's try that. Number of images 4, sure. That's more credits. That's fine. Image dimensions, I keep that native usually to, because that'll change according to the model that you select. So I try to just keep it native to whatever model I'm using. Guidance scale, you know, how strongly your prompt is weighted. 7 is typically a lot. More than 7, I don't know why it even gives you the option. It says high values or low values may produce unwanted results. And yeah, it does do that. I typically stay in the 7 to 4 range. I don't even know why it gives you the option to go up to 20. Maybe that, you know, helps. Tiling, ideal for repeating textures or backgrounds. So if you wanted it to be seamless, essentially, you would turn on tiling. Seed, we'll keep it to random. It's like if you generate a bunch of images and you like one of them and you want to keep iterating on that, basically use the same starting point as an image, you grab the seed number and you plug it in there. Scheduler, Leonardo. Yeah, we'll keep it to Leonardo. I really like, the one I like is not here. I won't keep it to Leonardo. All right, generate images. This will use 8 tokens. Nothing, cake. Let's see if it is like the browser though. Can I just go back, tweak some things? So like, could I add negative prompt, low quality, 6 fingers, 4 fingers. I don't want to name fingers. I guess it's negative, so maybe I just won't mention fingers. No low quality, no cartoon, no illustration, no sketch. I want it to be photoreal. Done. And what else can we try? Prompt magic. Let's turn prompt magic off. Okay. So pretty standard images. Honestly, the absolute reality model is maybe not the best for what I'm trying to do here, but it does okay. Weird that it went with blue for the tech company. Yeah, it like consistently went blue for each one of these. That's interesting. So we've got like some duffel bags. We've got some weird looking people wearing headsets. Yeah. It did stick to the prompt. I'll give it that. Okay, so that one had prompt magic on, which made it very specific to the prompt. So the thing is, I did specify that I wanted people interacting with each other and with the products and with VR headsets. So we do have people interacting with each other wearing VR headset products and with products in the image. And people, yeah, it did very literally stick to the prompt, even though it probably didn't have the right images to draw from to give me the results that I wanted. When I turned prompt magic off, however, I can already tell these are much more promising images. Maybe not so much. I might have... At first glance, it did seem that way, but this isn't human over on the left. Neither are any of these people. They're not people. This one is pretty fantastic. So there's a weird hand coming out of nowhere here. And all the products on the wall seem more like cosmetics. VPV, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. At a first glance, the images do look good or usable, but then as you look at it some more, they're clearly not. So let's see what we can do here. I mean, it's definitely like not the ideal model that I should have been using. So let's do something though. We have at the bottom of this image here, once I click on this one all the way to the bottom, we've got a bunch of settings. So I could do an upscale alternate without detail loss, upscale HD crisp, balance and maintains detail. I'm a little bit on top of the descriptions there. Upscale HD smooth, great for focused subjects. Unzoom, remove background, or trash it. I can also hit this remix button on the right. So I will do that. I'll hit remix, And then maybe I can uncheck absolute reality. So we can try a different model. We keep that same prompt. We'll keep all the other settings the same. We'll hit edit and generate. So now I will change the model. From absolute reality to maybe something that's further down the pipeline. Maybe there is something that's very much like what I'm asking for. As you could see, it's a lot of game assets thing and a lot of photo editing tools, basically, but a lot of gaming stuff. Let's try Leonardo Select. This one's supposed to give a high level of realism. Let's give that a shot. And let's change my prompt a little bit. An immersive retail experience in a Miami store for a big tech company. You know what? Maybe we just leave it at that. It's like with ChatGPT, the more specific, that's a totally different thing, you know, ChatGPT from Stable Diffusion. ChatGPT is a language model. But with the language model, you know, it's like the more specific you can be or the more elaborate you can be, I think the more consistent and quality results you get. With these image generators, it tends to be like the more vague you are, the better results, you know, less specific, that's for sure. But that's kind of cool how you can just upload images to create that specificity rather than expect the prompt, you know, to give you that specificity. Like, this is looking a lot better. It's more generic. But again, this is all just concept building. That's freaking cool. It's like some type of liquid hologram coming out of the platform, but it's also a mirror. It kind of looks like one of those makeup mirrors. And something consistent I'm noticing here is like the grass. It's like throwing in this grass on the floor. This one's really cool for a concept. Pretty trippy too. A lot of cosmetic products are showing up in the background. This is sick. I mean, if it had a better view of it, you know, that'd be a great pitch. All right, let's close out of that. Let's look at the other ones that were generated down here. What was the difference? It was a different model, right? No, this was, oh, I cut down on the prompt. So I cut out those words out of the prompt. This is with those words still in the prompt. So also better results. So finding the right model for you to use is key. Now, don't give up if you start seeing some really weird stuff right away. Just test out some different models, tweak your settings. And I like to keep a Notion page so I can always refer to my best settings. Yeah, these images are weird though. It's so funny because I feel like I always get the worst results when I'm live. And I get really good results when I'm not. All right, let's try an image to image and then we will wrap up this stream. So I did like this one. If I hit share, okay, it'll have me share it. I'll save the image. Okay. Go back and we'll do this whole thing, but we'll do image to image. We'll select an image, we'll upload image, allow full access to my photos. There we go, selected that image. We can do init strength, will preserve the original image more. Sure, let's just do an init strength rather than a control net. And now let's just generate images, not changing anything. So same settings as the previous round. All I did was feed it its own image. Okay. So that can definitely over time yield to better results probably. I mean, another thing to do is also like work the specificity through on it in here and then maybe have another tool take a stab at it. Let's try something more specific to whatever I'm asking for. So for example, 3D animation style, great for 3D movies. Instead of this, let's ask for a young Spider-Man character swinging on a web in New York City Side view from the sidewalk. And oh, I gotta take off this image. Remove image. There we go. That was easy enough. Generate images. Still though, I think the best use case for AI has been, you know, again, just coming up with quick renderings off of sketches or off of. These are so weird. Let's see what other people are doing that gets some better results. So for example, where is that Spider-Man we saw earlier? Why is this Spider-Man so much better? Spider-Man full body in a white, gold, and red armor suit. On a white snow forest, snow falling over the armor, the sun shines in the armor suit. Hyper-realistic, photorealistic, 8K. An award-winning photo. That's interesting. Alchemy was used on photography setting. And prompt magic version 3 was also used, so it was very strict to the prompt. And it used Dream Shaper. Leonardo scheduler. Here's a seed. Let's try this. I'm going to copy his seed number. See what happens. Although, if I'm using a different model, I have a suspicion it won't matter. But let's try using the same one then. Platform models. That was Dream Shaper 7. Side view from sidewalk. Or let's just do view from sidewalk rather than side view. A young Spider-Man character sitting on a web close to the ground in New York City. Oh, let's get rid of the negative prompt and let's do the prompt magic. I only have access to version 2. Oh, let's do that. Photo reel on. Oh, I need alchemy. That's right. Generate images. But yeah, if it gets just a little bit better in terms of like if I have to do less work, because at the end of the day, like if I'm spending 30, 40, 50 minutes an hour just trying to get it right, I might as well just start working on it myself, you know, and get it done. Maybe not in an hour, maybe in 2, but I'll get what I want, right? But yeah, if I'm just putting together a proposal, putting together a mood board for concept, feeding in some sketches or feeding in some inspiration images in here to get some other weird results out, that's the best use case right now for the AI. If it were more spot on what I wanted, I'd for sure start paying for this right away in order to get really, really specific results. But what I'm guessing, if I go to this guy's profile, yeah, these are really consistent. It's all about using the right model and using the right settings for what you're getting. The photo real stuff, I think Midjourney just does a better job right now, but at the artistic stuff and the video game content stuff, this is doing a hell of a job at it. I think perhaps the photography is really good here. The photography seems to be really strong, but if you're trying to do anything that's like outside of like very, very popular photograph themes like cars and nature and architecture, you know, if you're trying to like come up with actual product ideas, or you're trying to actually, you know, something very, very specific or very, very niche down that's not like so popular on the internet, or not a lot of images out there to draw from that are high quality, then, you know, you're not likely to see those results come through. But like, right, this is just an interior shot. Like this is probably drawing from renderings and photographs, giving a really, really clean result. Wall and contemporary interior, chair and some plants on the floor, straight angle photography. Boom. You know, I guess even then, right, like this lamp looks like it's coming from that side table, but that side table is actually really messed up and cutting through that pot. And the lamp is actually just floating. There's something that looks like the structure to the lamp, but it's actually not there. And when you zoom in, this plant doesn't exist. This plant's a mess. It's kind of dreaming it up. That's another thing, right? It's like it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. and it's not meant to. All right, we're gonna call the stream there. I hope you found this helpful. If you hadn't run into Leonardo.AI before, or if this is your first time ever hearing about it, or if you even saw my previous video on it and you've been checking it out, I'm sure you're ecstatic to see that it's on iPad and iPhone. 100 free credits a day. Guys, there's no reason not to be playing with this right now, especially checking out some community-made models. Really great. And yeah, I mean, the use cases here for your design process or for creative inspiration is really strong. So let me know in the comments when you start using it, how you start using it, if you start using it just for play, or if you get any cool results. You could post a link to your results down here. Or if you find any other use cases for your work that was really helpful and saved you a ton of time or gave you some great results. I am constantly experimenting and testing how it is that we can incorporate these in professional work, and we can actually start disrupting our industries for the better with these tools. So thanks for watching. Again, take care, and consider subscribing if you haven't. Again, thanks to everyone who subscribed from the last video to now. Thanks to everyone who subscribed in general and watching these videos. Greatly appreciate you, and we'll catch you soon.